Alright, let's see if it's going well this week. If my stream is up like I wanted, obviously I gotta go and check and actually see if it's operational. It says live, but let me see if a link exists and see what I can post and figure out if anyone wants to come to the stream. What's up, JK Network? How's it going? How are you today? And hang on, let me send out some stuff and see if anybody wants to come and chat and hang out and see what else they want to do, what else they want to talk about. Talk about any of the general stuff within manga today. Talk about anything affecting the community. Obviously, the Vic Mignogna stuff is starting to get even crazier and starting to rile up. We just today had the big release of more manga from the Shonen Jump app. We got a new fairy tale chapter within a few days. There's a new series actually that just came out on the Shonen Jump app. I'm gonna check that out probably after the stream. Let me see. I can't remember what it was called. I still have the window open. It's called like the Last Sayuki. I don't know what it's about. Something to do with some dude who kind of looks like Ash Ketchum. I don't know. Has anyone read this yet? It just came up. It's only got the one chapter out, so I assume it's brand new and not the not like it's some backlogged thing. I don't really know though. Notice a new chapter of Blue Exorcist. I was actually talking to somebody today. I was thinking about getting into back into Blue Exorcist. I've only seen the anime, so I'm thinking about touching up on it soon. What do you think? I saw a little bit of the spoilers for Eden Zero. Like I talked about. I don't know if I've said it in a stream. I've told some people about it. If the spoilers aren't, if they're not something really to talk about, I don't really feel like making a video on it because I don't want it just to be like I'm just kind of grasping for views. I want it to be more like I actually have something to discuss and actually want to talk about. Um, that was kind of like what it was near the later portions of Jump Force. Like I was really enjoying some of the character reveals, but when it got after Asta and Deku, I just didn't really like. I don't really have anything to say other than like, oh, these guys look cool. I mean, obviously, once Kaiba comes out, I'm going to talk about Kaiba. As soon as the Kaiba trailer is revealed for Jump Force, I'll definitely do a reaction video on that because I'm actually very interested on that. I'm a little bit salty because given what's been data mined, his ult is Obelisk, the Tormentor, and it's theorized that Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon is one of his normal moves when canonically Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon is stronger than Obelisk in the lore setting logically because the original White Dragon was equal to the Egyptian god. So I'm just spurging over a little bit over him. Yeah, Rin would be cool. Rin is like I definitely remember Rin from the series. I remember a handful of the characters. I'm definitely gonna get back to it eventually. Since it is on the Shonen Jump app, a lot of those series I'm gonna try and get to. Like I've been catching up on a couple things, and then there's a couple series that I've been recommendations that I've been taking. But I definitely want to get to a lot of the ones on the Shonen Jump app that I haven't yet, just because the app is it's very it's HD, it's nice looking, it's professionally translated, it's easily accessible. And obviously, Blue Exorcist is one of the ones I definitely want to look at. I was gonna look at that Hell's Paradise series as well. Which film do I like more between the Erasion 6 and Erasion 6? I'm gonna lead more towards the Erasion 6 just because I liked their team overall more, but obviously I liked Sieghart. I liked Reyna. I really liked the bit with Reyna when it was revealed about the Silver Ray. The thing about it is I like the Erasion 6, but some of them I just don't really care too much about, like Jigen. Burial, I actually liked initially, but he never really did anything. Haja was really cool, but again, well, no, Haja was cool, but he didn't live up as much as I thought he would, even though he had a really cool fight. There wasn't as much to his character as I figured. I did like Deep Snow though. I thought Deep Snow was really cool. Um, I think I like. I don't think any of the Arasion Seis I didn't like. I liked all of them. Obviously, the like Cobra. Cobra's probably the most interesting. Even the ones that were in the anime arc, the Starry Sky arc, which is canon. Imitation was really cool. I liked Reaper. I was wondering why they didn't bring him back again. Like Ergor, I thought would have been really cool. I'd like his design, and then his time skip design was really cool too. But obviously, them kind of like merging into crime sorcery, especially if you count into crime sorcery, like then the Racion Sace definitely win. I'm wondering if we'll get at least once we find out more about Drac and Joe, if we'll at least get a picture of the others five. Maybe you not find out all about them, but just get their designs and then kind of gauge out, of what we're gonna get from that. Like getting the silhouettes, like is cool when you get these characters, you get a silhouette of them. Obviously, the creators put them in a silhouette in case they want to alter their designs later. But I definitely prefer getting their design then instead of a silhouette because it gives you way more time to speculate and figure stuff out. I like to whatever works for them, it's fine. Yeah, I'll check out Blue Exorcist. I remember, so I've looked a little bit of the manga. I only watched the anime, but I enjoyed it. But when I watched it, it was before the manga service was really starting to pick up on their end. So it was always just fan translation, and it wasn't consistent. Because that's one of the things I definitely take into account of some manga is even if I'm interested in it and I like it, if it's not consistently put out, then I don't really want to get towards it just because of that that complete and total like no idea of when the next chapter will come out. Like just is it going like is this series even over? Like you'll get to a series like I got into um of Nejimaki Kagyu, and I was really liking that. I thought that was great. And it got to like a third of the way into the series, and then it got to like I think it's like 180 chapters, and it's at like 61 in the fan translation, and it's been over for like I think like since 2012 or something, and it just no translation since I've seen like one chapter translated in the last like year. Same thing with Mushi Bugyo, which surprisingly didn't pick up a lot of cred because it has an anime that was on Crunchyroll, so it definitely had the translated version existing. I've looked through it on the RAWs, but obviously it's not the same. Drake and Joe may be one of the weaker Racion Seis, kind of like Shuda when he was fought Haru. Yeah, I'm hoping though that they're much more rounded because they're from what we can tell, they're much more like a they're much more like a kind of like the Wizard Saints, where they're grouped in a they're grouped by a title given to them. It doesn't seem like the Racion 6 or the Racion 6 where they're specifically a unit. Instead, it looks like each of the Racion 6 Galactica they'll have the title, but they'll have their own crew, and they're not really associated with each other, other than being like criminal kingpins that know of each other and sometimes switch business. No, Larry Jones, Yuki is much cooler than you say. Stop it right now. Your clear mind won't help against the Egyptians. Aztec versus Egyptian. Egyptians win. I saw the word Kaiba in the title and I clicked. Yep, Brianna W. You say his boss. Are you new to my channel, Brianna W? I don't know if I've seen you before, at least in the streams. Yeah, definitely Kaiba. I can let me pull up one of my Kaiba pictures. I posted this to somebody the other day who was like, I just started talking to, and then they mentioned how much they liked Dragon Ball, and I instantly had to post my one of my Kaiba edits. It definitely the one that takes the least amount of trying to like think over is just Kaiba in general. Where is it? Oh God, I don't know where it went. I'm gonna reopen it because for some reason on OBS the images will just like spawn in the middle of nowhere and you'll never know where they are and they'll just be like maybe like 30 miles from your fucking screen. Let me pull this over. I always really like this song. Is this uh, it looks honestly I think it's one of my better photoshops is because it looks kind of legit because of the whenever the pictures that I used were taken, it's definitely in like what is that like 480, so they both kind of like line up with each other, and the shading is pretty close, so it definitely looks good. Yeah, what's up, Brown W? Yeah, I do mostly manga stuff. Definitely, like as I was saying, excited. Kaiba. So if you like you said you're new, so you haven't watched any of my other ones. Um, I talked about when Jump Force was first announced, who I wanted and who I wanted in the game, and uh, number one at the list was Yugi, but I wasn't really, I didn't have my hopes too high up because I didn't expect for them to go out of their way to make the moveset for him, and then it was revealed he was in the game. Obviously, got really excited, and at that point, like the only character that if he wasn't in the game, I'd be disappointed with is Kaiba, because Kaiba is a unique as hell character, like in Shonen especially. He comes off so much as like this complete and total asshole, but he does so many good things that people probably just don't pay attention to because most of his information, his dialogue, his shit talking, him just being a savage, and at the same time of him being both a good guy and a bad guy in some ways, he's he actually holds the status of rival from you're gonna knock me out where I'm at, Jason the 13th. I know that reference. I know your Tokyo Ghoul reference. You didn't escape me. But the fact I think Kaiba is, I think he's the best rival in shonen manga because unlike a lot of them, and obviously I'm gonna have to throw some shots at Vegeta as a reference. Though Vegeta manages to catch up to Goku a lot, like that gap doesn't always, it's not always close. Like he always jumps ahead of him for a while, and then it's just like when is Vegeta gonna catch up? And there's definitely points where it's just like if they battled right now, Goku would slaughter him. And there's a lot of main characters that are like that. There's not a lot of big shonens where the main character and their rival are really just like neck and neck constantly. Black Clover is doing really well about that right now. But the thing about Yugi and Kaiba is there's never even once in the entire series been a point where Kaiba wasn't pushing Yugi to his limit. There's not a single instance where Yugi or a Tem are battling Kaiba, and it just looks like he's not even trying. Like every single moment they've ever dueled, they've been pushing each other to their utmost. And so I like that aspect a lot about Kaiba as well. I really like just his presence as a rival. I mean, when you have a rivalry that literally transcends like life and death and time, to where every single time you reincarnate, you guys are gonna be rivals, and to where Kaiba literally, Seto, the priest Seto really was the rival of Atem, and Yugi should be Kaiba's because them being reincarnated, they'd be rivals again. Kaiba also literally went into the afterlife to go fight him just as a duel, just to prove himself. Well, no, Kaiba did beat Yugi, but he did so in a cheap way, and it's a really good character moment for him because obviously Kaiba's like, if I can't save my brother, I have no real reason to continue living. Like he's the only sense of like humanity he's got left. So it's a really good character moment for him, but at the same time, it's not like he beat Yugi in terms of skill. He beat him by, Yugi. He played a Yugi softer side, while at the same time, the fact that Atem was 100% fine with Kaiba dying in order to win, and just the shock on that is like coupled up in it. Yugi just kind of gave up. Also, real quick, I'd really appreciate everyone who's here if you would give the video a like, thumbs up, and maybe if you know anybody who might want to come and chat about just manga in general and talk about, anything you want to give recommendations my way, or we can, bring up a topic. Obviously, right now we're talking about Kaiba and his status as who I think is the best rival in Shonen, and we'll get to a lot of other stuff as well. There's actually been a lot of big stuff in manga recently. Demon King is getting fodderized in 7 at least. Yeah, I know. I don't get it. I don't understand that at all. I don't know how his presence has been. The villains have been so lackluster lately. I don't know how it happened because like when the Ten Commandments were first introduced, they were powerhouses and they all felt like boss characters, kind of like the Spriggan 12. But whereas like the Spriggan 12, most of them were definite boss characters because a lot of them had to lose from either bigger boss characters or team fights. But like the Ten Commandments, as soon as Meliodas got his powers back, they just started to get steamrolled over, and it wasn't. They just didn't have that presence anymore. It was just like, man, I hope they don't run into Meliodas or Escanor or Merlin, and it was just like, no, what's happening? Black Clover manga is amazing. Yes, it is. It's doing so well right now. Like that whole reveal in the last chapter was so good, and it makes the potential of the story being the elves and the humans have had this conflict that's been, raging on through all these years, and wondering who exactly between them really is the aggressor in the situation. To there might be a whole different group that has been pulling the strings and creating this race war between the humans and the elves and just orchestrating everything from behind the scenes. And I think that was such a good turn because I don't know anyone who is really focusing on that. Like I've had my theory about dark elves, but it was really about the existence of them being a factor in Asta's grimoire and like the theory of anti magic, but not in another factor in the big war. And especially when you think about like dwarves were just introduced, you didn't think that it was going to instantly introduce another one. So I'm definitely interested in what Black Clover is doing right now. Like it's gearing towards the end of an arc. Like I said, I don't see them winning, and especially now, it doesn't seem possible that they're going to end this with a win. It just seems like they're going to, like, I can see now that it's going to turn out maybe like Licht is a bad guy and he's been teamed up with whoever this person is. Like maybe Licht and Licht and the original Wizard King are actually against both sides and had some weird overall allegiance to some other group. We might see something along those lines, and they're going to be the big bosses because it definitely. The thing, if you haven't seen, Yuki Tabata has talked about how as long as they'll let him, he'll take Black Clover as long as like Naruto and One Piece, and you can definitely see um, in a lot of series. I don't think a lot of the ones that blow up and get big, like I don't think a lot of the writers plan ahead of that happening. Like you can definitely see the like power creeps and some of the stuff that they had to introduce later to really enlarge the world itself with a lot of these series. But definitely you can tell that Tabata like planned. He definitely planned ahead. Like he definitely was. Like if you read his previous series, Hungry Joker, like he already had a series that got canceled partway in, and then it seems like now he was just like, it's either I'm planning ahead or nothing, and it's definitely worked out for him. Yeah, I heard that before Senpai Fruit revealed that in a video that Jimenez Box was mistranslating stuff. There's actually been other instances of translations groups of fan groups mistranslating stuff for reasons like it was back in the Sun Village arc. They were translating. I don't remember. It wasn't Drake. One of the treasure hunters whose catchphrase was he'd say heavy in a sentence. They translated to super to try and stir up conflict between the fairy tale and the One Piece fandoms. I don't know why. I'm guessing maybe the guy doing it was a One Piece fan or just wanted to stir up some shit. Who knows? But yeah, that's been a thing for a while. Like it's like whatever. I don't know what your goal is. Maybe entertainment. Maybe they think it'll help them in some way towards their websites. What I don't understand with a lot of these places is they're not stretching out enough towards some of these series. Like I get why they would focus on the big stuff. You want to get the most views, but now with the Shonen Jump app, you have to wait like 2 days and you're getting it legally. It's way better looking. The translation's better. It's consistent. And I don't get why some of these places aren't focusing more on translating non-Shonen Jump stuff like Shonen Magazine and Shonen Sunday. Maybe trying to find series that people don't know about from even a different magazine that's popular and see what works. I question some of these sites, some of these translation groups. I don't know. Some of them just they seem kind of shady. I've had my own personal beef with Manga Stream. I haven't had any beef with Jimenez Box. I don't know any of them. I don't know any of the people in that group. I've only had beef with Manga Stream because of some of their bullshit. But I don't know. It's definitely a very iffy topic of what they're doing. If you're gonna like, why should people trust you if you're gonna alter the text for whatever your scheme is. 1 second. Just posting a link really quick on Twitter. See if anybody wants to, come and chat with us. Come and join in the conversation. Let me catch up on some of these comments really quick. One Punch Man is getting pretty hot. I gotta get caught up on One Punch Man. Definitely. It's just One Punch. Well, at the time of when I read the One Punch Man manga, it was a lot more inconsistent. But from what I can tell now, it's like every 2 weeks. I think a chapter comes out for One Punch Man. I'd have to double check. It's definitely more than it was at the time because I remember there was like times when you'd get like a chapter that was like 10 pages and then you'd get one that's like 90. I don't know what the deal is with that. I've never looked into that. I just know of it, of that just very strange release schedule and like quantity level of pages. It has definitely something to do with Elfmask. Yeah, this guy, I think that there's definitely been some orchestrating. Like somebody's been pushing both sides, and that's part of why I think Dark Elves are going to be a thing. It's especially with the belief that Tabata is going to do a lot of like Norse style things with the elves and the dwarves. Like, and he's had Yggdrasil, but I think that was just like an attack name. I don't know if that's going to have anything to do with an actual Yggdrasil tree. We'll probably find out within this arc whether or not it's going to be more of like general, magic, like medieval magic, monsters and stuff, or if it's going to have like that Norse theme. Let's see. Let me see this. Ten Commandments are truly disappointing. Gallon gets turned to stone. Yeah, it's all. They all had a lot of potential and they all had cool designs, but they haven't really lived up to that. And I think that's been really disappointing because it's not like they were written into a corner. Like it was just like Meliodas, Escanor, and Merlin just running a train through them. Like why? And then King shows up and King gets a million free power ups and then starts beating them as well. I don't get the point of what Nakaba plans for Arthur. Like it seems like he has like no real thought to like what he's gonna do with them. Did you read the newest Shonen Jump title? What's it, Last Seiyuki or whatever? No, I mentioned it. I have it pulled up. I haven't read it yet. I just noticed that they had a new series put out. I don't know if it's weekly or not, or if it's going to be a monthly. I don't know if they've made it distinguishable, but with their new service, obviously it would say monthly or weekly series. But it might say it in there. I haven't seen it. I haven't read it yet. I'm convinced Asta might eventually meet Thor. I mean, maybe it depends on what they do. Like I said, I don't know if it's been really like hammered in of what's been if that'll be the theme if it does go Norse or it's just people are assuming that. Let me see. Do you believe will become the Golden Dawn captain? I'm scared of the traders. I think he'll become a captain, but it was definitely we noticed that it's not like the Night Orders, the Magic Night Orders aren't like set and then you inherit them. It looks like you can, but given when Julius was a captain, when he was the head of captain of the Ashen Deer, and Yami when he got made captain, he just made his own crew. So I'm assuming that when you become a captain, you either can take over for like maybe one you were in, or you make your own. So I'm guessing if he does, he will make his own group, like maybe like whatever color picks, and then his animal like the fucking hawk, or I don't know, maybe he'll name it having something to do with Sylph. Well, that's definitely something I'm waiting to see because we haven't really seen a legit official appointing of a captain. We've seen people take over because of specific reasons, like we had Kaiser with Goldry and Marileona with Fuego Leon, but we haven't seen anyone just be like, I now W as title of captain and see how exactly that goes. So I think that it will be, I think he'll make his own order at that point. I'm reading through Black Clover and My Hero Academia manga here. Still Naruto manga to catch up. Yeah, like that's pretty good. I definitely been really enjoying a lot of the newer age stuff. Personally, I really like Weekly Shonen Magazine. I think more than Weekly Shonen Jump on a large scale. Definitely good though, because I know people definitely try and like jump on like Weekly Shonen stuff, and it's like it's some like bad normie stuff, but like no, it's the lifeblood of the whole industry. It's like if you liked Western comics, like you're really into Western comics, like would you be surprised if somebody that's in that, doesn't like, it's like you like Batman, that's so like mainstream. It's like, yeah, that's like he's like the most popular superhero is Batman. Of course. As it's just how it is. He's popular for a reason. But let's see what else. Some manga I purchased. I haven't started reading it yet. Oh yeah. I was gonna recommend something. I don't know what new ones have really started up. Uh, that's just got one. I know Chainsaw Man just got a volume one, but I think that's in Japan. Telling him, do you have the Shonen Jump subscription service? Because it's only like $2 a month, and you can read 100 chapters a day, and they have like thousands of manga. Definitely would recommend Chainsaw Man, but obviously another relatively new series that does have an English release is Eden Zero, which is like this. It's interesting because if you don't know who Hiro Mashima is, he's mostly like his background is mostly like fantasy, a fantasy manga, but he's doing this new one called Eden Zero, which is like this sci-fi space manga. He's like incorporating some like fantasy ideas and how they'd work in like space and stuff. It's very cool. It's very interesting and definitely holds a lot of potential and interest right now. If you don't have the Shonen Jump service, you should definitely go and check it out on their website because it's only like $2 for a month. For Chainsaw Man available in America, I'm definitely waiting for that. I want Black or Eden Zero Volume 3. Like, I I don't know if you've any of you seen my whenever because Hiromashima has done Rave Master Fairy Tail and Eden Zero. Whenever a new volume of Eden Zero come out, I compare like if it's the next one is volume 4, so whenever volume 4 comes out, I'll compare it to the volume 4 of Rave Master and Fairy Tail, and I usually talk about like what about them I like and which one I like the most. The first two for Eden Zero, I liked them, but I didn't think they're that great. I really liked volume 3, like especially the layout of it and the colors used. I thought that was really good. Definitely enjoyed that. You definitely should random person. Eden Zero is definitely very interesting. It definitely feels shonen, but it feels fresh shonen, which is kind of like what Chainsaw Man feels like. So if you haven't checked out Chainsaw Man, definitely check that out as well. Like let me pull that up. I should have the volume cover of Chainsaw Man. Like if you haven't checked out Chainsaw Man, like I talked to somebody on Twitter yesterday, and uh, they didn't have really a description of Chainsaw Man, but I think that the cover of Chainsaw Man speaks for itself. Like it's so good looking and so alluring. Let me take this off so you guys can see it. Oh, it's fucking huge. Let me scroll over and make this a little bit smaller. Like it's literally this dude's power is he got merged with a devil. Like for some reason they say devil instead of demon, but he got merged with one, and it was a chainsaw devil. So he's called the Chainsaw Man, and he literally has chainsaws coming out of his arms and his forehead, and he's got this sick like chainsaw motor head, and it's just so badass. Like there's this sick part in it where he's fighting like this big devil, and he like puts his chainsaw in the dude's arm and like revs the gears, so he's like riding up his arm with the chainsaw blades. Dude, Chainsaw Man is it's a huge recommendation, definitely a huge recommendation, and it's so interesting already. Like definitely check out Chainsaw Man. There's a lot of new shonen, like I said, that are very very fun, very interesting because I think a lot of the newer generation people understand like a lot of the big last hits and know what tropes people really like and what tropes people are kind of tired of, and taking a lot of that and giving them fresh appeals to them, and I think that's pretty sick. Let's see. I'm gonna yeah. Thoughts on Quincy's from Bleach? Heard they were disappointing. I like the Quincy's. I like their design a lot. They are definitely the best dressed villain group in Shonen. That's for sure. The Stern Rider very nicely dressed. They look like they're directly off a Hugo Boss clothing line. Definitely like them. Do enjoy old-fashioned manga. Yeah, so the way that I talk about, I kind of say about that is I like to give stuff. Usually, I like to read stuff as it's coming out digitally because I think it's just easier to pick up and put down. And then, when you have the service and you're paying $2 for all of their stuff that's on there, $2 a month, then you can see like what you actually want to own. Because I like Naruto, but I don't think I really like Naruto to buy the whole collection. but definitely enough to support it. But like Chainsaw Man already, I definitely want Volume One. I definitely want Volume One of Chainsaw Man, even though it's part of the service and I could read all of them. I definitely want to once I can start putting Chainsaw Man on my shelves. I think that's really cool though about the subscription service is you can still support you can still support the business and the release and the creators and stuff, but at the same time, then you can still pick and choose what you spend more money on and get the physical volumes for. I think that's pretty cool. Let's see, the theories on justice powers are going to be compared to Sieg's and Joel's. So I've put a lot of thought into that. The only thing that I hope is for sure, 100%, I hope he has a Grand Chariot attack. But I'm hoping it'll be more like giant artillery based. Like something I talked about Wall Ito from Ito or Ict or whatever. I don't remember which his official translation. I usually get like the fan translation stuck in my head just because you refer to them way more until the volumes come out. But I liked his out of all the Spriggan 12, I liked his design the most because his wasn't really magic. Like he used magic pretty much for using his weakness ability to scan people, find out what their weakness was, and then swap out weapons and parts accordingly. Like he had like kind of like requip mixed with it as well, to where he he had much more like he's just transporting like guns webs like kind of like a much more advanced level of Bisca's the Gunner. So I'm hoping that because it was such a cool power and it was never really used that much on a big character in Fairy Tail that it's brought over and instead it's used on Justice, who has more of this like high-tech sci-fi artillery like swap out. Like it's still like these because we know Wise's power is reconstructing machines in real time. It doesn't seem like he can't just like create the machines. He's like taking whatever's around him and reconfiguring them. Whereas where I kind of imagine with Justice is it's more like he'll be uh, swapping out weapons through requip. So it would just be like a bunch of really sick, large like anti-aircraft cannons. And I remember Haja from Ravemaster, one of his spells, I don't remember what it was called, but he summoned like a giant like ship, and then it had a cannon on the bottom of it where it shot like this big energy laser. It was so weird just to think that like instead of shooting the giant energy laser, you summon like a big wooden ship that has a cannon on it on the bottom of it, and it just fires instead. But that's what I'm hoping with Justice is he'll have some form of variation of it while still having a callback to it, still having a callback, and maybe like they'll also be named after like constellations or celestial bodies or whatever will still kind of have that feel of heavenly body magic and that Jalal really focused on, and then kind of carried on to Sieg had tons of different kinds. Like he was very variety based, but most of his most of his variety magic was like generic of that element, and then his heavenly body magic had more of like more unique spells, and then Jalal was just heavenly body magic with some tiny other spells like. And I'm just wanting to see Justice be much more of a variation because Sieg was very much long range with some short range with like the energy sword. Jalal was much more of like mid range, and then had small amounts of long range, and then but could also close range if he needed to. And what I'm hoping with Justice is it's much more of whatever type of weapon he summons. Where his is very much more rounded in both long, short, and mid range, but it's much more set to the specific of whatever he pulls out. Like if he pulls out something, it's for long or short range, kind of like with Wall. Like I would like to see essentially Wall's ability brought over to Sieg or to Justice, but much more of a sci-fi weaponry kind of base thing. I want to see like plasma and photon cannons and shit and like a gravity like sphere like shot out and it like makes his zone like anti-gravity or something, and then maybe Shiki could be like, haha, I have a counter to that, something like that. Let me see what else. Yeah, Chainsaw Man's like another manga. I don't mind Radiant. I checked out the anime. The anime is steering away from the manga. So I've read the first. I've read I think up to like volume 6, but only in the French version, so I couldn't really understand what was happening. But I have all the English releases, which is 1 through 3. I haven't read the 2 and 3 yet of the ones I physically own, so I still haven't figured out what's going on canonically instead of what text I was able just to kind of make out. I definitely need to do that soon because I really like Radiant. I think I've just been waiting because I want to binge read it because I want to get caught up to where what events I know happens in the French like original version. I'm scooching up. God, my chair is so squeaky. I got this cheap chair for only like $50, like $50 or $60, and then I set it up, and then I'm like, it's pretty comfortable. And then like a week later, it started to become so squeaky. Thank you, Jazz. No, no, no. Yugi would just time stop. God damn it, Hugh Jazz. You underestimate how powerful Yugi is. I told you, Yugi is actually the most powerful character in Jump Force. I've explained this before. I have a video going over of like how absurdly overpowered the Yu-Gi-Oh universe is. Yeah, the Radiant anime, I guess like they change a lot of things from what I see, and they were steering forever away. Like they changed a lot of characters, like like backstories. Like for some reason, Melly is like an assistant to Doc, and I'm just like, why? I don't. I wasn't against the idea, but it was like enough that I was getting kind of annoyed with the anime, where I was just like, how long are they going to drag out like until they start like the actual arc? I'm gonna get back to it eventually, but I don't know. I was just a little bit salty with how long they were taking. Definitely gonna get back to it eventually though. It's just kind of like put on a back burner. Obviously, like I'm still invested in if I'm buying the volumes. But let me see what else. Do you think Ignil getting revived this week? No, I think it's gonna be a Dragon God because it's uh, like it's. I think it'd be weird to bring Ignil back, um, but I noticed like a lot of people have taken attention to the fact that the black design on Ignil's hands are like diamond shaped, and this dragon has like flame shaped. And I'm hoping that it's gonna be the fire dragon god, well, a dragon god, assuming he'll be a fire dragon god, and it'll be like Ignil's dad, and so like Natsu will have a grandfather or something. And what I want with that, if so, I really wanted them to have like I guess a really easy example would be like how Yusuke and Ryzen had a relationship, whereas like Natsu doesn't trust the Fire Dragon God, but the Fire Dragon God is like he's trying to be like all understanding and affection of Natsu. He would try and be on a close level with him. Natsu's just like I don't fucking know you. What do you want? Or something like that. It definitely will add a whole nother interesting aspect to this whole 100 Years quest. Like, there's been so many interesting things because we already have the whole bit with Merfovia not wanting to, kind of like how he saw that the error in his ways, wants to better himself to the point where not to endanger the people that worship him. Just he's fine with just being killed, and that alone is just like it's very nice for his character, but it also, like, on top of that, opened up that once Natsu has to choose between, what he wants to do, because we know how he sees dragons the same as humans, to where there's good ones and there's bad ones, and when he especially sees like Merkvovia, you know, coming to terms with what he did and like wanting to better himself, while being controlled by somebody else, and Natsu knows it's not his fault, and he wants to help him, but he doesn't know what way to really help him. And so, like, it's just that moral dilemma. Like, it's seeing him have a problem with that is very interesting. I really like that about him. Are you leaving? Are you leaving, random person? If so, I'll miss you. I miss all the nice people of my stream. Yugi, yeah, Yugi's really good at Jump Force. Oh my. I've seen people like say that he's like the worst character, where it's like, no, he's not. And they're like, I've seen some people. I don't remember the YouTuber's name, but He, I do know his name. I don't know if I want to say it because it'd be like calling him out, but I definitely question why he does jump force videos, like for sure. But he's like talking about like, Yugi's attacks are slow, and it's like the draw ability is random, so you don't know what they're gonna build up for, and all these things. Where it's like, yeah, he's entirely based around setting up a strategy and a combo. That's why his attacks do so much damage, and both his Dark Magician and his Dark Magician Girl attacks, you can add a boost onto them. So when you do hit them, you have an option of doing an empowered version, where it's just like, why? Why is that a problem? Like he's a spellcaster. He's not like a melee fighter. If his attacks were as fast, like if his fucking black burning magic, like, oh no, it's a burning magic for Dark Magician Girl. Like it'd be so strong because it already is painful, and when you have the 5 bars, if you catch them in her black burning, and then that'll bring it down to 3, and then you immediately follow it into a second one, does another one, but then use the draw ability, it'll turn it into a black burning magic. So you'll do 40+ % probably in that one combo. And then one thing that's really good about him that I didn't think about at first, but obviously like playing him more I realized it, is like his ult when you summon Slifer, it does a lot of damage if it hits, but it has a shitty hitbox. Like his hitbox is shitty, and I was just like, God damn it, this sucks. Like landing his ult with Yugi is hard. And then I realized, when you the whole thing about Swords of Revealing Light having such a long stun, obviously it's because to set them up, and then you once you land Swords of Revealing Light on them, you just go in and ult, and it's gonna hit, unless some bullshit happens where somehow they come out of the stun. Like I've seen that, but that looks more like a dumb game issue. And it's easy to set up. Like you get 5, and then you keep doing draw. You're either gonna have, unless you somehow get 5 magic formulas, then it's like, well, fuck. But you get swords, you get like Swords Revealing Light on them, or you get spell shattering arrows, and the second spell shattering arrows is going to come up. They're going to go on the defensive because they don't want to get hit by them. And then you just keep doing draw, and you're probably going to either have, more than likely, going to have 2+ spell shattering arrows within that amount of time, and then you just have to land Swords of Revealing Light, and it's like, bam, you're getting the ult off. And if you don't want to do the ult, like you could do swords, like if you get 5 and then you get swords the first time, land on it, you do fucking you do Dark Magician Girl, and then lead it to Black Burning Magic, and then you ult, and you're taking off like 70% of their health, and then afterwards you can still roll into a Dark Magic attack, and it's Yugi's all about combos, and it's just I don't get how anyone like. There's only one YouTuber I've seen that says that Yugi's bad. Everyone that I know that's actually played the game, like I said, like Yugi is fucking broken because his combos work so well together, and he's such a good character. I'm excited to see. Yeah, Yugi is really good, but you have to keep distance. You have to keep distance because he's obviously a spellcaster. He's made for range. If he like if your Yugi use the block dodge, it takes off your block meter, and then they manage to cover that gap instantly, you're gonna get a heavy combo with Yugi, and it's gonna suck because, like I said, he's all about ranged. You just have to keep range. That's why I usually that's why I centered my team around that, of being able to counteract that. What's up, Zerpy? How's the storage unit going? I couldn't get into Black Clover. It's a non-stop action. The world building and the pacing is too quick. Oh, there is world building. What do you mean? Like one of the first things they do is they go to a dungeon, and then they after the dungeon arc, not long after that, they go to an underwater temple. So you find out about this whole underwater society. You find out about the witch's forest, and this nation that lives in between the I think it's the Diamond Kingdom and the Clover Kingdom. So you have this kind of neutral party that exists on that borderline. You're finding out about the elves and how exactly it was when they were in charge. And this is all also only in one country. There's 4 on the continent, and we've only known one continent. We don't know anything about the Land of the Sun, other than that's where Yami's from, and it's obviously supposed to be Japan. Definitely check out Black Clover, man. It's a lot of fun. Like there is a lot of action, but there's so much more to it. I think people started to notice more once the anime started to get more popular. Definitely check out more of Black Clover. It's a lot of good stuff. It takes a little bit to get into. Like the first like I'd say volume and a half to 2 volumes is very plain, outside of the fact that Asta's anti-magic is really interesting. You start out the main character with such a weird ability, but like a lot of what's going on feels very early shonen. I think the dungeon arc, like where I've described it, I knew the dungeon arc was gonna be where the anime picks up, and then it did, and then after that, I knew that it was going to take another jump when they got to. Sorry, I didn't know I was gonna cough there. That it was going to take another jump when I got to the fight with Yami, when you really see what Yami's capable of for the first time, and like all of like the big moments that so far that have really like boosted up hype. I've called. I knew that what they were going to happen, and that's just some of the going trends. Like I figured it was just going to be the word of mouth with a lot of them at the start. And then once a lot of the cool moments kind of show up and you see like a 4 minute clip of, this character doing this on YouTube, and you're like some guy who's like, I don't like Black Clover because someone told me stuff about it. And then you check out the video and you're like, that's fucking cool. Maybe check it out, and then you find out, it was actually pretty good. It's definitely a lot of fun though. Is like, check it out if you haven't. Yeah, I like when they meet Julius early on in the series. That was really cool. I thought that was awesome. Let's see. If they brought Igneel back, I feel it would piss off a lot of people. I see the Dragon Train. That's yeah. I think it'd be a bad idea to bring Igneel back. I got 3 dislikes. Why are people disliking this stream? What I do to you guys? I don't know. Do whatever you want, I guess. Um, hurtful, hurtful guys. I don't know why you dislike my stream. I didn't say anything mean, but it's within your right. Um, I think it's definitely something that he shouldn't do, because if he brings back Igneel, it'll just kind of like do away with that idea of death. Like Hiroshima, he said that when he kills a character off, he doesn't really like to bring them back. Like he likes to do implied deaths, but he likes to do implied deaths. But if he actually officially kills a character off, that he doesn't want them to come back, and he only did it for Makarov because he thought it had to be extremely significant for once you cheat 2 immortals into dying, that you had to have some opposite end effect. And I mean, I get why he did it. I don't like that he did it. Like I still like, it's like, why would you bring back a guy who's 90 and has health problems, and now he can like has trouble walking? Like I think that was a little bit weird. Actually, I think he's 91 now. Let me see what else is. Let me see what else is written. So since Toka has Merciful's powers, does this mean that she's stronger than Zeref and base Aknologia? Well, I think that she didn't steal his power. She stole his restrictive capability, so he can't control it. Like she didn't like take she didn't steal his magical power and then like stack it on top of hers. It seems more like she just took away that ability he has to restrict his. That's not nice, huge ass. Why do you do such cruel things to me? I dropped the anime from the manga for Black Clover. Yeah, well, the anime, as is tradition, suffers from big shonen weekly anime. So you'll get super inconsistent animation, because they're building up the time, effort, and budget towards something special. And that's just usually how it is. Like, obviously, when you're doing it every week, you don't have the time to get it ready. Versus, like, a seasonal anime where it's like, hey, we have a year to get 12 episodes ready, instead of, like, we're pumping out an episode every week. This is gonna be rough. Which is, understandable. Especially, obviously, the budget spread is gonna be way different. I like when they meet. Oh yeah, I read that. Like the Blizzard King and Black Clover is good. First 3 volumes are yeah. The first 3 volumes. Once you get to the dungeon arc, I think Black Clover picks up a lot, because it also really emphasizes on what I think is probably Black Clover's best trait, is the rivalry between Asta and Yuno. I think their rivalry is excellent. It actually feels like a rivalry, instead of like a one-sided thing of the main character yelling at his rival, of being like, I'm gonna catch up to you. Like, you get that. You don't get that in a lot of series. Like, I'll have to take a shot at My Hero Academia. Like, Deku doesn't feel like he really has rivals. It feels like he has sort of competition, but like you never feel like Bakugo and Todoroki are really going to keep up with him at this point. Whereas like Asta and Yuno have been neck and neck the whole time. The only reason that Asta's ahead right now is all the elf stuff. Like prior to that, they should be dead even. Let me see. once you get back to yeah, the dungeon arc's really good. Having the app thanks to stream. Yeah, that I'm glad you're here. Have a nice night. And like I said, anyone who hasn't yet, appreciate if you would give the stream a thumbs up. And you don't have to though, but I'd appreciate it. And if you haven't yet, if you are new and I haven't said anything to you, I'd appreciate if you would subscribe. Okay, do you think that Toka would compare to Zeref and Agla? I think she's equal to Zeref. I think that she's equal to Zeref. She'll probably get something to maybe like equal up to Fairy Heart Zeref. I mean, the only way she could really like get to Zeref after he got Fairy Heart and then linked up with the space between time is if she got the one magic or something. But that's definitely a big thing in Fairy Tail we still haven't got to. I don't know if we'll ever get to it, or if it's just kind of this concept, or if there is a physical way to obtain the one magic. Remember, I've always been really interested in that. There's some stuff we haven't seen, like the one magic, the Great Abyss of Magic, and Ankh Salam. We haven't really seen much of it. Let me see. Kakarot created a universe powering up in its second strongest form. When? When did he create a universe powering up? When did that happen? And oh, hang on. Let me sidetrack this. I don't know if you know this, but Universal in Yu-Gi-Oh is not much. It's not much of anything. You have Sophia from the Dual Terminal storyline who already can create a universe. You have Zark who was pulling four universes together just by existing. You have the Supreme King who with super polymerization was supposed to be able to merge 12 dimensions all the size of a universe together. So that's 12. And Yugi is still they're on the sixth cast and group right now with Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, and Yugi is still top dog. He's still the top duelist. He was referred to in 5Ds as the greatest duelist to ever live. He is canonically the most powerful for being able to summon Horikiri. He's overcome infinity. Like Yugi's still the biggest deal. I know people probably can't think the fact that a spellcaster is going to be more powerful than a melee fighter, but Yugi really is so much more powerful than anyone in Dragon Ball. It's not even close. And I don't think there's a single person that believes Dragon Ball is stronger than Yu-Gi-Oh without watching anything past season 1 of Yu-Gi-Oh, because the difference is there's so much more to Yu-Gi-Oh than there is of Dragon Ball. Like Dragon Ball was silent. Like it was just like a couple random movies for like 20 years. And Yu-Gi-Oh has been nothing but nonstop and has kept going since then. Let me catch up on some of these. Let's see. Am I interested in the Boruto manga? I'm interested. Like, so I like the manga, but I try to do reviews before on it, but I'm just like I'm not invested enough to really want to talk about it on a large scale. I mean, it's just the anime is like it's so full of filler, and the manga is so slow, and that's the problem I have with Boruto. Is it's it's rough to take something that is a weekly and turn it into a monthly because it just the pacing hurts. Like if you took Boruto and the fact that it's a monthly, you're gonna multiply it by 4 because obviously it's a monthly is about 4 times, roughly about 4 times what you'd expect from a weekly. It's that, but it's like I think like 13, like 12 to 13 pages if you did it instead of like 16 on average. Um, but you did it by 4. I think Boruto's at like what, like 30, chapter 30 something right now, 32. So what's that like 120? 128 maybe, and relatively there's been almost nothing since like the beginning. Like you had the cool stuff with Momoshiki, but like other than that, it was like Boruto hung out with some kid who was pretty much like that kid from the Wave Village, Land of Waves bridge thing with Zabuza and Haku, but it was like it felt more like a fan fiction of that arc. It didn't have the weight of it. It wasn't nearly as good. I like what's going on now, though. I like what's going on now in Boruto. It's the same thing. It's actually very similar to like Dragon Ball. Like I didn't like Super almost at all up until the Broly stuff because they just reused old stuff. They just reused old arcs. But with Broly, I think they're doing a lot of cool stuff from that arc forward. I think the Moro stuff is a lot more interesting. Let me see. My cat decided my cat really likes to stand directly in front of my screen, and so she conveniently stood directly in front of the comments box. So I gotta scooch up to see what she's doing. Hang on, let me see these. Shin Gadget is pretty far away from Natsu in terms of power, even though his rival. Yeah, yeah. I've always wondered like Gadget has been like really weirdly present in the manga because you'd think he'd be the rival, but he really isn't. He feels much more. He feels more like. I guess a really good comparison would be like Gara, where you'd think because of his status and powers in the series and really how he relates to the main character, he would be a rival. But he's much more of like a. I don't know, like second. I don't want to say second tier because he's not second tier, but he's not first tier. He's like. I'd say he's like a high. What's the word I'm looking for? High alternate. Like he's got a good chance of coming in each arc and being like a major character in an arc, but he's not going to stay. Kind of like how Wendy became a main. I see. Fighting Journey. Do you think that Homura is a traitor, or is it going to be like a fake, like Gagio portraying for? I think she's a fake. I mean, because like, what reason for it? Like Gagio we know was put up to it. Like he was only a double agent because it was part of Makarov bringing the guild. But why would Homura be a double agent with Jesse? We don't even know if it's to Elsie. I assume it's to Elsie, but it would make more sense if for some reason she's working for Elsie, who already is has a bit of a rivalry with Shiki just because of his position with Ziggy. The heat from Kakarot powered up created Spiral Galaxy. Yeah, again, nothing to Yu-Gi-Oh. That's that. I don't think you've huge ass. I don't think you watched Yu-Gi-Oh ever or read the manga. Like legitimately, Yu-Gi-Oh. I know people only want to think about it as like guys playing card games, but like Yu-Gi-Oh has ridiculously crazy powers. Like even in Zexal, like Yuma had the Numeron code, which gave him the full digital programming of the universe, so he could alter any fate that's or any event that's ever happened in their universe. He had full control over time and space within that universe. He pretty much had the Infinity Gauntlet. And again, he's not a threat to Yugi at all. Bankai Ichigo hands down can defeat Yugi. No, he can't. He can't. Maverick. Maverick. I don't even know this. Yugi is a multiversal character who can manipulate fate, time, space. He can manipulate souls. He can crush someone's psyche. He has the power of creation. He's got so many powers, and it's just like it gets harder every season or every series because Yugi still sits at top dog, and they somehow manage to do crazier things every series of Yu-Gi-Oh. So Yugi automatically, obviously by default, should still be a bigger job. Yeah, well, it's not that every manga needs to be weekly, but when you have something like Boruto, it's not it's not made to feel like a monthly. It doesn't. Like some stuff feels like a weekly, some stuff feels like a monthly. Boruto does not feel like it should be a monthly series. It doesn't feel like you're getting the payoff like every month. I mean, that's the same thing I think with Dragon Ball Super. I think that making them monthlies are a bad idea. Like Fairy Tail, it's making it bi-weekly. I'm still very happy that it's not a monthly. Like it was nice when it was a weekly, but when I got switched to that bi-weekly status, it hurt. But at the same time, it's like, well, I'm glad at least it's not fucking monthly. Let me see. Yeah, I know. I'm still I still eventually might check out Beastars. I do need to get caught up on Witch Hunter because I did like Witch Hunter. I like the characters. It felt like I'm stuttering real bad. It fell off for me at the time that I was reading it, like I said, because it was inconsistently translated. But that's not the case anymore, so I need to catch up with it. Broly cannot defeat Yugi. How would Broly defeat Yugi? Yugi could literally stop time or rip the soul out of his body. Yugi would completely destroy him. Yeah, Maverick, in case you don't know, the thing about Yu-Gi-Oh is Yugi isn't a guy playing cards. The card game it's pretty much a modern day version of how these guys used to summon monsters that were sealed in giant stone tablets. Obviously the stone tablets looked like the cards, but they're big fucking stone bricks, and they would summon monsters to fight each other. And your monster was as powerful as much energy you put into it. And the thing that made Yugi a big deal is he was essentially picked by the gods as the one worthy to use them, and his power literally has no limit. And I know a lot of characters are said to have no limit, but Yugi literally goes at one point beyond infinity because he's fighting a guy whose creature has infinite attack points, and Yugi actually creates something beyond the concept of infinity in order to beat him. Like Yu-Gi-Oh, they do so many crazy things in it. I love the fact that they do. He doesn't need the cards. He does not need the cards. He can literally physically manifest them. He doesn't need them at all. I mean, that was extremely apparent also in Dark Side of Dimensions when Kaiba physically manifested Obelisk the Tormentor without the card, and Yugi physically manifested, well, I guess Atem physically manifested Palladium Oracle Mahad, which was a card he didn't otherwise have. Broly fought his way into another dimension. Again, not impressive for Yu-Gi-Oh. That's not impressive for. That's impressive as a whole. Like if you compare that to most fiction, very impressive. Not impressive to Yu-Gi-Oh at all. Let me see. The bi-weekly with Fairy Tail was worth the wait. Yeah, so Fairy Tail I think is a good. It's a good balance because it's you're getting a little bit more than a weekly. You get like 20 pages, 20, 21 pages instead of like 16. But there's no like beat around the bush content with it. You're not it doesn't feel like you're I guess a good example again, and I'm gonna have to poke fun. There was a My Hero Academia chapter recently, where for some reason for Aravity they recapped like her whole backstory of like wanting to get money and how that like paid into like her wanting to help people in in a chapter, and it took like 5 pages or something like that, where it just felt like wasted time. It felt like a flashback that didn't need to happen just to kind of cover up space. And you don't get that in 100 Years Quest, and I like that. There doesn't seem to be really any pages or panels that just are there to take up space. They all feel like they're necessary, and that's what I like about it. That's one of the things I really like about what's going on right now. So people called Brandish trash like Big Mom because she's humiliated by Kana. Oh, I mean that was done with a gag though. That was 100% done as like a joke, and then we see her get serious when she fought Lucy. Is like she was keeping up with her without even being that serious, and we know like from uh, we know from Demaria that if she wanted to, she could just snap her fingers and enlarge somebody's intestines to literally burst out of their esophagus and kill them. Like you can't count gag feats. Like I mean that's just a normal thing. The thing about Big Mom though is if Big Mom's was a gag feat, it wouldn't be counted. But it's literally every single time. Funny enough, speaking about that is around that time there was a couple people that we were talking to at the time that were constantly telling me how Brandish was going to switch sides and join Fairy Tail and fight against Zareth. And I'm just like, why? We already know she's loyal. She already doesn't believe that anybody there can defeat Irene, August, or Zareth. So why would she go? Why would she switch sides to go against all three of them? Doesn't make any sense. And it just doesn't have any. There's no water hole yet. But at the same time, out of the two main fandoms of the people I knew that were doing it were One Piece and Seven Deadly Sins, and you had Pudding who switched sides because Sanji gave her a compliment, uh, and then you had oh my god, what was his name? Um, oh my god, the demon who possessed Dreyfus. What was his name? Oh my god, hang on, I gotta scroll up. Ten Commandments, Seven Deadly Sins. What was his name? Oh my god. And that one, his was a weird, like his whole existence like really confused me, which is weird because I can't remember off the top of my head. Fraudrin, that guy. He was super confusing because he has. You'd think that he'd be more relevant as a character, considering like the fact that in the previous life before him, he's the one that, or the previous life of Elizabeth, he's the one that killed Elizabeth, and then caused like all of the shit that like Meliodas wiped out. Oh my god, what was that? What was that place called? What was that kingdom called that he destroyed? whatever it was called. He destroyed it, and then Merlin had to, pretty much like, hey, what's up, Sammy? Do you want to come in on this? Are you available to join in? And if you guys want to come in and talk about Black Clover or Fairy Tale or whatever. Anyway, what was I gonna? You think that guy would be more, way more relevant in the series, and then he was like trash. I just thought that was really hilarious. We all know if Brandish had the personality of Edge, she would have destroyed. Yeah, the thing is, we know that Brandish could easily kill a lot of these people if she felt like it, but she, had like she had a friendship sort of with. She has like again, I don't want to say friendship. She's on good terms with Lucy, but she still has some beef with her, and she still has some beef with Fairy Tale, obviously. But she didn't want to just kill her. Like she obviously the reason why she wanted to kill her wasn't the fact anymore, and she didn't like to do stuff that she didn't have to do, so she didn't want to kill someone without it. Wow, Sammy, you suck. All this time you're trying to talk about doing a stream, and yet I'm finally streaming and you're on, and yet you don't want to come in. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Can't believe you. It's because it's not about Vic Mignogna. You can't get. You're not gonna pull in some people from Tug or Yellow Flash streams. You don't want to join in. How cruel. What a mean thing to do. But I don't know. I just think that you never let me in on the streams. You don't have class. You're gonna make another 8 videos about Vic Mignogna. Yugi is not low T though. Yu-Gi-Oh isn't even low T. Again, I don't know how much you've watched it. Even look at Jack Atlas, who crashed his motorcycle in the middle of a speed duel or a riding duel, and then he was unconscious. He got knocked unconscious, obviously, because he got fucked up, crashing his car at like multiple. I think it was like Mach 2 or something, and he got knocked unconscious, and his body physically wouldn't let him give up, so it pushed his bike over the finish line, so his team wouldn't lose. Like just the natural feeling in his body of like giving up doesn't compute at all, and that's fucking manly as hell. Yeah, I figured you got 5 videos to drop. I bet they're all on Vic Mignogna. God damn it, Sammy. I did all my Shonen Jump. I did all my Shonen Jump reviews. I got them uploaded. Obviously, I talked about that. I'm not really able. It's a little bit harder for me during the week because commuting and then work. Like I'm gone half the day, but I usually do it on the weekend. That's why I like to do my streams on Sunday. Saturday, always think about doing it on Saturday, but Saturday is my sleep day. So I usually sleep until like somewhere between like 10 and 11, and then get up and then just be like, at some point I need to go to the store and get groceries and shit. I'm not going to see Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel is gonna be so cool. Give me one YouTube clip to check out. Yeah, hang on. I was gonna be like, I'll just put one on the stream, but then I'm like, I don't know if I want to get copyrighted. Do you want one? What one do you want? Do you want one of just like shit talking? I can put one of Kaiba just shit talking people. There's one really good one of Kaiba just completely talking to Siegfried von Schroeder like he's trash because he is. I'll post it in the chat. Just a really good one to demonstrate Kaiba's level of brutality. He just doesn't give a fuck. And I thought it was great that they were able to at the time of in the dub, even though it was like on I think 4Kids, they were still able to completely keep him to be a brutal asshole without any form of still keeping it like obviously there's stuff they got to keep censored. Like they couldn't have Kaiba like killing people and then laughing people as they drown. Kaiba, like he does a lot of fucked up stuff. Like there's a part in that there's a part of it in the story where he talks about how he got his 3 Blue Eyes cards where there was 3 collectors. One was in Hong Kong, one was in America, and I can't remember. I think the last one was in Korea or Vietnam, and he talks about like he either like destroyed them financially, like bought their businesses and ruined them, or he hired the mob to like rough them up, and then one guy killed himself, and he thought it was hilarious. I'm just like, God damn, Kaiba. I like GX. GX is definitely very popular. Original is my favorite, and usually I don't ride the OG is the best one, but I do think that with Yu-Gi-Oh. definitely Yugi like original and then GX, and then I really like Arc 5. And I'm not caught up with Vrains because I like to bulk watch Yu-Gi-Oh, but I have to catch up with Vrains at some point. And then obviously, and then 5Ds, and then probably my least liked one is Zexal, just because the beginning of Zexal is so hard to get into because it was such a bad transition because you had 5Ds, which if you don't read the manga, then you wouldn't know how dark some of Yu-Gi-Oh is. But 5Ds was just very, like, on a description level, pretty dark. Like, the main character grew up in the ruined city that poor people have to live in, or they go to a work camp, and like the whole story of 5Ds was just way more serious on average, and it moved into Zexal, which was very, uh, Zexal was just very like E for everyone, and people were really mad about it. And then obviously like that altered like near the end of season one, and then Arc 5 comes out, and shortly into Arc 5, like Arc 5 has a similar like pretty carefree start, and then you find out the main character power is centered around like brutality and rage, and he's just pissed off, and he just goes into I don't fucking care mode. Would you recommend the Yu-Gi-Oh manga? It is really dark. Yeah, I'd recommend it. So the thing about Yu-Gi-Oh is if I was gonna recommend it to somebody, I would say watch the anime and then get the knowledge of the anime. Because the thing about Yu-Gi-Oh that I always say is I'm fine with violent censorship because though I like the dark aspects of Yu-Gi-Oh, I'm there for the card. I show up for the card games. I want to see the cool card like strategic card battles. Watch the anime and then when you finish the anime, read the manga and see all the original stuff. But only the original series has the anime and the manga relatively close. Like they alter some things, but they're mostly the same. The everything after original, the anime and the manga have two completely different stories. They're very different after the original. Definitely fun though. I definitely would recommend it. It's a very enjoyable series. I mean, like especially like I knew that Yugi was going to be really going to jump force, especially with Kaiba. I knew Kaiba was going to be too, because their move sets are going to be extremely variety based, and they're going to be about setting up combo abilities. Like I've seen the data mined uh, moveset of Kaiba, and it's not. There's no models yet. It's just kind of the effects, and Kaiba already looks like he's going to be really good. Like it looks like he's going to have a like I think his first one is a beam attack, and it's going to have like it's going to be really fast. I assume Kaiba is going to have that same trait that Yugi has, where you can add draw onto an ability to do an empowered version, which I'm really hoping is the case. And then I think one of his is going to be Crush Card, which is going to be cool to have like a dot on it. I think that's going to be a really cool aspect of it. Well, yeah, the I was saying that huge ass. I was saying that was a clip of just Kaiba talking shit. Yeah, Siegfried, the guy that looks like a girl. Yeah, he's a German dude. His name is Siegfried von Schroeder, and people Kaiba made fun of him constantly. The fact that he fucking looks like that. He constantly made fun of him. What kind of one do you want? Do you want like a let me link one up. Let me try and find like a good brutality moment. It's cool how Joey almost beat Merrick. That's always a really weird. Like it's crazy to think about that one because like when Yu-Gi-Oh characters have like crazy stats, it usually is because they have some power or like they're a lot of them are either magic or like super advanced tech or like aliens. But Joey was just a guy, and Joey was like standing up from hits from Ra, the god of the sun, and taking direct hits from him, and then just kept standing until like that last moment and almost won. And that further got put in Dark Sided Dimensions, where Joey's will was because like they note in the series that Kaiba's ego is stronger than God, and Joey's will is stronger than God, and they keep that up in Dark Sided Dimensions that Joey's will was able to uh, withstand the Plana, which is this ancient. If you haven't watched the movie, it's this ancient Egyptian artifact that is able to pretty much reforge the entire universe. And Joey Kaiba just shrugged that off, but Joey was able to pretty much shrug. He was able to withstand it like last second. Kaiba just like I don't fuck. Oh yeah, let me. I'll show that one. I'll post that one if you want. A huge ass. That one you might like better. I told you the one that I linked with for Kaiba, that was just one of him talking shit. That's a really good one though. I'll post that one. You might like that one. It's pretty badass. Like the fact that Kaiba was able to withstand an ancient Egyptian artifact on level of rewriting the universe purely with his ego. Oh yeah, Kaiba makes fun of people. Kaiba is, I think he's the best shit talker in anime. There's actually a point in, so there's a, if you haven't seen it, there's a character named Joey Wheeler, and I prefer the dub names. I'll always prefer the dub names. There's a dude named Joey Wheeler who always tries to talk big at Kaiba, and Kaiba roasts him throughout the entire series. And there's a sequel series called GX, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, which Generation X, obviously meaning 10 years later. And one of the things Kaiba does is he funds technology to create to make it so you can convert thought into vocal speech, and then makes it so it can work on monkeys, and then has them teach monkeys how to talk so he can name one Wheeler just to make fun of Joey. Like Kaiba, Kaiba has turned like shit talking into a business. He's really good at it. Kaiba's awesome. People also said Jill sucked because he lost to Elfman and Lizana. Well, he didn't lose to them because he was weaker. He lost them because Elfman had counters to him, and he was already hurt. Like he had already clearly wasn't at 100% because he had been taken down by by Urza with her Nakagami armor, and counters. There's a huge gap between losing to somebody for being stronger and losing to somebody because they counter you. Like clearly when um, let me think of a really good one off the top of my head. Uh, for some reason, I'm trying to go fairy tale instead of anything else. Like when you have something like, I guess, like, so if someone had some magic involving transportation on Natsu, it would, you'd be able to counter him because you have, even if he's way weaker than Natsu um, because of the fact he's playing on his weakness, like obviously, or if you have the ability to resist their abilities to a degree. I think Kaiba could have beaten Merrick. Yes, Kaiba would have beaten Merrick, for sure. The thing is, Kaiba put up, I think, way bigger of a threat of a duel against Yugi than Merrick did, and Kaiba has such a powerful OTK with Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon because he can fuse into Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. That's 4,500 attack right there, and then use defusion, and then he's got 3,000 attack point monsters, and he could just end it. And plus he has the anime crush card, which is fucking like if you're in the anime and someone uses crush card on you, you're almost fucked. Like it the actual one, I don't remember. I think it's 5 turns, and you draw a card if it's over 1,500 points. It's automatically sent to the graveyard. Whereas like the anime one, it's like your whole deck, anything over 1,500, you can't use anymore. It's like Jesus Christ. There are some cards in the anime that Kaiba has that are just like ridiculous. I can't remember the one he used during his duel with Yugi, where it's like you get to pick 3 cards out of your deck and then discard your whole deck. I mean, could you imagine playing that on your first turn, where it's just like I just ruined your entire game. Like this is now going to be a 3-turn game, and you have to, even if you somehow had like this good strategy, they could just stall and then you just draw until you have nothing and then automatically lose. Like Kaiba is ridiculous. Kaiba has so many really good strategies in his deck. Yeah, he's got blue eyes. So I talked about how apparently from the ult is obvious in Jump Force of what Kaiba's ult is. It's going to be Obelisk, but it should be Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon because even though Kaiba has a kind of connection to Obelisk, he's much more connected to Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. Or to Blue Eyes in general, and then Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon is canonically stronger than Obelisk because the original White Dragon back when Kisara was actually alive was equal to the to an Egyptian god. And obviously, Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon is three of them combined, so it's going to be stronger than one of them. Kaiba talks more shit than Vegeta and Sasuke. Yeah, and Kaiba can also back it up. Kaiba can 100% back it up. Like if like there's that good point where Kaiba or Vegeta is dancing like a goof to Beerus, like dancing like a joke, and then Kaiba stares down Zork, who is literally like the god of hell and like evil incarnate, and Kaiba just stares him down and shit talks him. Like he Kaiba gives so many less fucks than Vegeta, like 100%. Yeah, that's a good point, Zach. That is how Elfman beat Bacchus. He didn't beat Bacchus by being stronger. Like Bacchus was stronger. He had more magic. He was faster. Uh, his attacks were unpredictable. He beat him because he challenged him and he held out longer than Bacchus could fight. Like he beat him in a battle of willpower and stamina. Because again, like if it was just they fought, he would win. He would beat Elfman, but he challenged Bacchus straight up to something specific, and he was just like, "All right, I'd rather figure out how this is gonna go than just like normally fight." Because there was a time limit, and obviously, if he would have won, like if it was just down to that. Have you tried to buy some cards and play the actual? Yeah, I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh for a long time. I haven't played the physical card game in a long time because I haven't had. I've slowly been building a deck. Like every few months, I get like one or two more cards. I need to complete my full deck. I usually I play it occasionally online, but I haven't played physically in a while. So Jaden, you say Yuma haven't surpassed Yugi or Kai, but no, they're never gonna surpass Yugi. Yugi's too good. Jaden has dueled Yugi and he lost, and it's like Yugi has too many good. Like Yugi's one of the only. I think he's the only main character that could end the duel in the first turn because he could instantly like start out 5 cards, uses Pot of Greed, draws 2 cards, play, and because of Wadapon, if you draw Wadapon from a spell card, which Yugi has 3 different cards, 3 different spells. I think he might have more. I know he has off the top of my head. He's got Pot of Greed, Graceful Charity, and Card of Sanctity. So if you draw Wadapon using a spell card, you automatically summon Wadapon. Uses Multiply, so now you have 5 Wadapons. And then summons Obelisk. That's takes 3 of the 5, and then sacrifices 2 to use Obelisk's ability, instant 4K, and you won before your opponent even could have a turn. And it's very applicable to Yugi because he can manipulate fate and give himself whatever cards he wants. Atem is better than him too, and Yugi beat him. Yeah, Yugi is great, but Yugi is only good at games. I mean, that's very apparent. It's talked about that's his skill. Like Kaiba is been able to master everything he's ever done in his life, and he's been #1 at it just because his natural talent and his hard work and dedication, and he's a genius. Except for duel monsters, like Yugi's the only person he ever like has been #2 to is Yugi, and that's like part of the reason why he's so obsessed with him, so obsessed with beating him rather. He's the only person who's ever given him like a legit like hard challenge. I'm gonna try and start bringing in people to do battle discussions. I think that'll be fun. Um, Definitely soon. I don't know if you guys are into that. Obviously I had some videos and some of you guys like that, but I feel like it'd be fun for a stream. Obviously people like drama and people yelling back and forth at each other, like you're fucking wrong, like you're fucking wrong, and just start screaming at each other. I think it'll definitely be fun. Obviously, I just got to get like, I already have the rules because I did the Clash of Fiction series, but obviously I said I couldn't anymore because I ran out of the amount of time to really do it, and the reviews obviously are the lifeblood, the conversations, the main conversations, and then we could do like battle stuff in the stream. Yeah, I I have some people that I think would want to be part of it, and so I'm probably gonna start discussing with them of when they want to do it. That might be the Saturday stream, and then Friday and then Sunday streams will be these, or we just chat, we just have discussions, we talk about stuff. I have good back and forth with you guys. It's funny how Kaiba only sees Atem as a rival. Well, Yugi Well, Yugi he sees as a rival later, because that was part of Dark Side of Dimensions. Is Yugi was really kind of standing up for himself, and Kaiba was taking notice to that, because he originally wasn't going to take Yugi's shit, and then once he's just like, if you're not going to summon the Pharaoh, then whatever, and then Yugi was just like, fuck off, we're going to do this. I'll do what I want. I don't listen to you. I'm my own guy, and that was really good for his character. I thought that was awesome. Yugi's a good guy. I got to mention on something. No, it was nothing. Uh, yeah, it's a question about but I was like, I don't know yet. Yeah, some Versus stuff I think would be really fun. I think that'd be a really nice conversational piece. Definitely soon, probably next week, because unlike before, my schedule was a lot more unpredictable. But now it's very set, and so like I know what days I'm gonna work and what days I don't, so I can plan it out way better. It'll definitely be obviously once we get the time set down, it'll be dependent at that point. It'll be dependent on that point of the other people. And obviously, if they're late, I can just start it. We can get the topic out of the way, talk about who would be. Do you think Natsu became too strong like Deku in the time skip? No, because he's been working towards it. Like Natsu was like pretty low tier until around the Grand Magic Games, where he kind of got into that not a not a Spriggan or not a Wizard Saint, but like near it. Like it's that whole grasp is within sight. But in Tartarus, like again, he was only pushing up at that level. Like he was maybe low Wizard Saint tier, like at that edge, and then obviously Dragon Force, but that's not his power up. And it wasn't until part three in Alvarez that he became like a monster in terms of power, like on a large scale. But obviously, it's because he's been working towards this, and now he's definitely one of the strongest people on the planet. But there's still a large group of people that are still competition for him. Which Natsu do you think is the stronger FTK? Fire Dragon King mode. Oh, it hang on. Depends. Are you counting just his Fire Dragon King mode and not like the Igneo boost? Because if it's just what he has on hand, the Aetherius form is definitely stronger. The strongest Natsu though that we've seen. So the strongest that he can achieve by himself is the Savage Dragon Fire he used against Zeref. But obviously he can't willingly do it, but it's possible for him. And then the strongest that he's ever had is the seven Fire Dragon Force that he used against Acnologia. That one's the strongest, and the reason I think that one's for sure the strongest is it was so potent that it was like reinvigorating Igneal's scales in the scarf. Like that was a really weird. Like I didn't notice that. I think the first time I read through it, and then probably like later that day, when the chapter came out, I read through it and I noticed that his scarf is all flailed up and like it just kind of it looks active. It's very strange looking. Well, that was only a partial Aetherius form, Zach, because the portion in him was only if you look back, uh, look back on when it was revealed to him that he was E&D. I think that's chapter 466. I know it's 400 years of the title. I'm trying to remember exactly what the chapter number is. When Zeref shoots the book, he grabs his chest, and when you find out later where the demon seed was, it's that exact spot. So I'm guessing the portion of the book that's missing is what went into his body. So it's only a bit of it. It's only the partial one because we know that um, the book itself is them because we know when Mard Gear turned back into the book, he's literally the book, and then he takes like a normal form. But with Natsu, his Aetherius powers were all in that book, but part of it was missing, so he only got part of it. But afterwards, so my theory of why he didn't die when Zeref died is because I think the book instead like it was linked to Zeref, but when Lucy fucked with it, it got linked to her instead. And then when it disappeared, it got it kind of like went back to Natsu. So now he has that Aetherius power more within him, but it's the full one instead of that small partial one that we saw against Gray. If that makes any sense. But that's just a theory. Well, that I think it was more of a teaser because if it was the full on version, how would any of them have stopped? How would anybody have stopped him other than Acnologia? But it also gives room to for something for Natsu to achieve later because we don't know how powerful he is right now. My guess is he's able to hold out Dragon Force a lot longer, and then he could still have the Aetherius power in the wings as more of a goalpost. I don't know. It's just my thoughts. I'm probably gonna wrap it up soon. It's we're at like what, like hour and a half. So after this video, leave in the actual comments, like in the comments section of the video and not in the live stream chat. Leave a comment of what fight you would like to see, and then we'll discuss it. We'll discuss those with. I'll discuss it with the people that I right now I plan if they want to come on a stream and do versus discussions. We'll see which ones we think would be fun to talk about. So if you guys have any ideas, otherwise we'll figure something out and then surprise you guys. The Dragon Cry movie did Natsu transformation into his dragon form. So it's never really explained. So I have the volume that was given to if you went and watched the movie in Japan, I think within the first like few days. So I got that offline, and it's explained that Natsu is able to achieve that because of his exposure towards the Dragon Cry. Like it amplifies him, so that's how he achieved that half dragon form. Um, but definitely from that, I still think that the seven fire dragon form is more powerful, given the fact that after he obtained it, it was affecting Ignil's scales that were so long, like depowered. Dory versus Margear. Margear has a much more versatile moveset, and his Memento Mori is better than Schwartz End. Hmm. Who are more disappointing, Big Mom Pirates or Ten? Big Mom. Big Mom, 100% more disappointing. Because the thing about the Ten Commandments is the Ten Commandments were big deals, but Big Mom is supposed to be one of the 4 top people on the planet. Huge ass, do you actually want to come on the stream? I've already explained to you about how Yu-Gi-Oh is so much more powerful than Dragon Ball. I mean, if you want to, if you want to, message me on Twitter. My link to my Twitter is in the description. So uh, if you want to set that up, go ahead. Just at me on Twitter or DM me, and then we'll set it up. Is Zieghart stronger than Jalal? No, Jalal I think is stronger than Sieg because Jalal has a bigger moveset and he's much more of a versatile fighter. Like Sieg was way more of a traditional spellcaster until he had that magic absorbing sword. But the thing I think that separates them massively is Jalal's meteor spell. Like I think that makes it way too much of a gap for him, because with that he's faster, he can fly at a much higher speed, and he has a much larger level of versatility, agility, and just quick time reaction. So he would be able to plus his higher experience in close combat. It just would be too much for Sieg. Like Sieg is definitely powerful, but I think Jalal is stronger. Well, if you think so, then at me there, huge ass. Come on. So other than that, though, yeah. I'll talk to you guys later. I really appreciate the stream. Oh, let me get this one. Also, do you think Elsie is up scheming? Yeah, I do. I think she's 100% up scheming with him. Because, like I said, I've seen the theory that she's secretly like a buddy. But I think it would just like she said, she owed Ziggy a favor, so she did him one. She did Shiki one favor, but now they're enemies in the open space seas. Dragon Ball isn't a Chad. Like Goku doesn't even know what sex is, and Vegeta is a 5'5" manlet who wears like boots and a speedo or a fucking full skin onesie. Yeah, yeah. I hope you guys have had a good time. Like I said, so leave a comment below in the actual comment section of what fights you'd want to see and all. I will find some people and see who wants to join in. I got one that I think would definitely want to be in, but other than that, like I said, talk to you guys later. I appreciate everyone who showed up. I hope you guys have a great week. And I think is Easter this week? What day is Easter? Whichever day is Easter. I hope you guys have a good day. And don't watch Captain Marvel because it's trash. But watch, I heard Battle Angel Alita is really good. And then Shazam is next month. Yeah, don't watch Captain Marvel. That's actually soy. That's going to be a horrible movie. Other than that, yeah, talk to you guys later. Thanks for coming. Some of my videos are going to be up soon. I'm going to post my My Hero Academia 218 review right after this. So, other than that, thanks. See you guys. Thanks.